Welcome to Faith Between the Lines. I'm Scott, and thank you for joining me here today. You know, there comes a moment in recovery, often unexpected, when something inside you shifts just a little. Not enough to call it joy, not enough to call it a healing, but enough that you notice a small warmth where it used to only be cold. It might be the way the morning light falls across the room. It might be a memory that doesn't sting as sharply as it once did. It might be a breath that feels just a little easier than the one before it. See, hope doesn't return all at once. It doesn't burst through the door with a celebration or certainty. It arrives in the ways like dawn does in the morning. Slowly, gently, almost shyly, touching the edges of your life before it reaches the center. At first, you may not trust it. You may wonder if it's real, or if it will disappear the moment you reach for it. You may feel guilty for even noticing it, as if hope's something that you haven't earned yet. But hope is not something we earn. Hope is something that finds us. It finds us in the quiet moments when we're not trying to be strong. It finds us in the pauses between tears. It finds us in the soft places where grief has carved out just enough room for something else to grow. And when hope knocks, softly, almost whispering, you don't have to open the door all the way. You don't have to welcome it with confidence or certainty. You can just simply acknowledge it. And you can say, I see you. You know, because this is how hope learns your name again. Not through grand gestures, but through small moments of noticing. Through the quiet willingness to believe that maybe, just maybe, something good is still possible. When hope begins to return, even in the smallest ways, it can stir something unexpected inside. Yes, it's fear. Not the loud kind, not the kind that sends us running, but a quiet trembling fear that whispers, what if I open my heart again and it breaks all over? Because hope is a risk. It asks us to loosen our grip on the darkness we've grown used to. It asks us to believe that something good might still be possible. And after loss, after heartbreak, after long sessions of survival that can feel almost dangerous, you might find yourself pulling back from the hope the moment you feel it. You might question it. You might doubt it. You might even push it away. You might tell yourself you're not ready, and maybe you aren't. But here's the truth. Hope doesn't need you to be ready. It just needs you to be willing. Willing to let a little light in. Willing to believe that healing doesn't betray the love you lost. Willing to trust that God can hold both you and your grief and your future at the same time. Hope doesn't erase the past. It doesn't pretend that the pain will never stop. It simply reminds you that the story isn't over yet. And trusting hope, even a little, is one of the bravest things you'll ever do. Not because it guarantees anything, but because it means you're choosing to live again. You're choosing to believe that your heart is still capable of growing, feeling, and becoming. Hope learns your name again. And when you whisper back, maybe I can try. You know, as hope begins to settle back into your life, it doesn't arrive with fireworks. It shows up in small, almost ordinary ways you might miss if you're not paying attention. But these small moments matter. They're the quiet signs that something inside you is beginning to heal. You might notice yourself reaching for things you once enjoyed, like a song, a walk, a familiar routine. not because everything is better, but because something inside you is ready to feel a little more alive. You might find yourself laughing at something unexpected. And for a moment, that heaviness lifts just enough to let a little light slip through. Hope also begins to shape your thoughts. Not all at once, not in every moment, but in gentle shifts. A little less fear about tomorrow. A little more curious about what might still be possible. You start to even imagine a future again, even if it's blurry, even if it's fragile. And imagining the future after loss is one of the most courageous acts of the human heart. And then, of course, there's your spirit. The part of you that's been bruised, battered, quiet, and tired. Slowly it begins to stretch again, to breathe again, to trust again. Not because the pain is gone, but because hope is teaching you that pain and possibilities can exist side by side. These small signs, these tiny sparks, they're not an accident. They are the early moments of healing. They are the gentle reminders that you are still capable of joy, still capable of connection, still capable of becoming. Hope doesn't demand that you run. It just simply invites you to take one more step, then another, and then another. It's how hope returns. Not as a sudden sunrise, of course, but as a slow, steady glow that begins to warm the edges of your life again. And you know, where hope finds its strength is, it simply begins to return. It doesn't stand on its own. It leans on the things that you've carried you this far. Your resilience, your faith, your quiet endurance, and the small spark of courage that kept you moving even on the days you felt like stopping. For some people, it's strengthened by other people around them. The ones who check in, the ones who listen, the ones that remain with you that let you know that you're not walking alone. But for many people, hope grows in the solitude, in the long nights where you had nobody but God and your own breath to hold on to. And if that's your story, your hope's not weaker because of it. It's stronger. It's forged in the kind of silence that only the brave survive. Faith plays a powerful role here. Not the loud, confident kind, the faith that shouts from the mountaintops, of course. But the quiet faith that whispers in the dark, the faith that says, you're not done yet. The faith that sits with you even when you're tired, steadies you when you're unsure, and gently nudges you forward when you're ready to take another step. See, hope grows stronger when you lean on your faith, because faith reminds you that you are held by something larger than your pain, something patient, something steady, something that doesn't disappear when life gets a little bit hard. Faith doesn't demand that you feel strong. It just simply offers you the strength when you need it most. And then there's your resilience. The part of you that kept going even when everything in your life wanted you to stop. The part that survived the hardest days, the longest nights, the moments when you felt like you were sinking. That resilience, that becomes the soil where hope takes root again. Hope doesn't return because life suddenly became easier. Hope returns because you made room for it. Through faith, through endurance, through the quiet courage of simply staying alive. This is where hope finds its strength. In God, in resilience, and in the small, steady steps that you are taking to get here. And that steady faith is your bedrock for getting you here. I wrote a little poem for this episode, and the name of this poem is called The Strength That Stays. When all the world felt dark and wide, and every step was slow, a quiet strength rose up inside from places I didn't know. It wasn't loud, it wasn't bold, it didn't shout my name. It lives within the broken parts and warmed the deepest shame. It whispered, "Child, you're not done. Those storms may share your days. For even in the weakest hour, my strength is in you still stays." So when the nights feel long again, and hope seems far away, I'll lean upon that holy strength that never fades away. As we continue on this journey, on your journey, I want to remind you of something tender and true. Hope doesn't ask you to be fearless. It doesn't ask you to be certain. It doesn't even ask you to be ready. It's simply just asking you to be open, just a little bit to the possibility that life still has something for you. There's going to be days that hope feels close, like a warm hand resting gently on your shoulder. And then there's going to be the days that it feels distant, like a voice calling you far from down the road. Both are in the process. Both are part of healing. Hope doesn't move in a straight line any more than grief does. And through all of it, the bright days, the heavy days, the days when you feel like you're taking steps forward, and the days when you feel like you're slipping back, you are held by a love that does not waver. A love that has carried you through every valley. A love that has stayed with you through every night. A love that knows your name even when you forgot your own strength. There is a holy courage inside you, even if you don't always feel it. A courage that shaped everything that you have survived through. A courage that's strengthened by every tear you've shed, every breath you've taken, and every moment you've chose to keep going. You know, stopping is easier. That courage is not an accident. It's a part of you. It's sacred. And faith, that quiet, steady faith, is still here too. Not demanding, not loud, not insisting you leap before you're ready. Faith just simply offers you a place to rest, a place to lean, a place to remember, and to know that you're not walking this road alone. God walks with you at the pace your heart can bear, never rushing, never pushing, always guiding. So as you move forward, slowly, gently, honestly, may you feel hope settling into your life again. Not as pressure, not as expectation, but as a companion, a soft, steady presence that grows with you, breathes with you, and rises with you. I want to thank you for spending time with me today on Faith Between the Lines. I hope I met you right where you are. And before I leave, I want to offer you this. May you feel peace in the small moments. May you feel strength in the quiet ones. May you feel God's hand in the unseen places, steadying your steps, softening your fears, and reminding you that you are becoming someone new. And may hope fulfill your days, and may it learn your name again and speak it with love.